There is no way to explain how I feel right now. Proud and humbled are two adjectives that come to mind. I remember back in the 6th grade how I felt. Deprived. I felt deprived of my education. Or in other words, a challenge. All I knew in the 5th grade was I was going to grow up and I was going to become a superstar athlete. A typical black young adolescent's dream. It wasn't until I came to Eprep that I woke up into reality. You wouldn't believe the look on my face when I was told I had to repeat the 6th grade in order to attend entrepreneurship preparatory school. The fact that we had to wear ties and I didn't even know what a blazer was completely blew my mind in many different directions. Who would have thought that now I'm the same young man who cannot walk the streets of downtown Cleveland without his Eprep tie? Asked my head of school, Mr. McBride. It got to a point where leaving school, he had to check to see if I still had my tie on. I couldn't help it. My tie gave me a sense of maturity or intellect. If I were to ask each and every one of you parents how you felt about your child right now, I guarantee most of you would say proud or happy. And that's understandable because I'm 100% sure my parents feel the same way about me. But the fact of the matter is, your child didn't stay at the school until 7 or 8 o'clock p.m. making packets, grading papers, and/or planning tests. The teachers did. Your child didn't mail out his or her applications, transcripts, and write recommendations for the high-performing high schools they will be attending next fall. Ms. Ashford did. Your child didn't get ready for high school by themselves. Their mentors helped them. Your child didn't give themselves an extra snack or two when they were still hungry. Ms. Holloway did. There's so much credit for our success to be given out. And parents, if you truly understand what I'm saying, you will go after graduation and hug every teacher, staff, mentor, etc. just as tightly as you would your own son or daughter. My story at Eprep is the same as most of my peers in Capital. 6th grade was a real eye-opener for me. There was no teacher to give me a break. There was no easy way out. 7th grade came with a lot of drama. And getting caught up in what everybody was into or what everybody said about me eventually got me in trouble on multiple occasions. I'm the type of person to be cool with everybody, and I thought that gave me an advantage. I feel like people wouldn't test my waters, but to me, it comes down to a simple equation. Them testing me plus my reaction equals trouble. The same equation got me caught up this year, the year where I was supposed to be a role model in the school. But some days I still find myself being the only 8th grader in detention. It wasn't until towards the end of the year where my detention started to dwindle down. In the 6th grade, I planned on going to John Hay. I changed my mind at the 8th grade high school fair when a student approached me about a school called St. Ignatius. I reluctantly approached the door, hearing that it was an all-boys school. I heard about all the benefits, and to me, I thought St. Ignatius is my destiny. Had that student never approached me about St. Ignatius, I would have never even thought of looking at the door. So I applied to Ignatius, and I also applied to St. Edward's, which is another school I heard about. In my head, I heard doubts. It was like I wasn't good enough to sit next to an Ignatius kid. The most belittlement came from me, and that was the sad part. I remember vividly when Ms. Ashford, our high school placement coordinator, sat me down and told me specifically to pick some more realistic schools because St. Ignatius and St. Ed's was very difficult schools to get into. I felt a chip on my shoulder start to grow. Ms. DeAndrea, my reading teacher, also told me that if I wanted to get to Ignatius, my behavior would have to change. I felt that chip getting bigger and bigger. After Ms. DeAndrea and Ms. Ashford gave me my reality check, I realized they didn't bring me down. They actually lifted me up. The thought that I need to prove everybody wrong popped up in my mind. My confidence and self-esteem was boosted. I am good enough to sit next to any kid that got accepted into Ignatius, black or white, rich or poor. Now look at me. Next fall, I will be attending one of the most prestigious high schools in America, and that school is St. Ignatius High School. short person will point their finger straight in Miss DeAndrews, Miss Ashford, my parents, and or my friends' faces and scream, "Ha ha, I made it in your face. I proved you all wrong." But D'Angelo has a sense of maturity now. The only thing I can say to the people that doubted me is, thank you. There is no better way to put it. I pushed through all the obstacles, but what I failed to realize is the biggest obstacle I had to face was myself. Had I not been told I would never make it, or I needed to become more realistic, I would have never tried as hard, and I would have never overcome that huge obstacle, which was myself. Through the realization of the 8th grade year, I came up with the quote, and I hope to use this quote with future children. Underestimation is the best kind of motivation.